Hey there, thanks for joining today. I am happy to be announcing and introducing our 2022 Sales Performance Scorecard Survey. We're very excited about this, getting back into doing a full survey again this year. We had about 850 responses to our survey. We gathered the data in July and August and then did our analysis and wrote up our commentary in September and are releasing the report the very end of September. A great way to kick off Q4. And we have a few thoughts we want to share with you today in terms of positioning, both to wrap up the year and especially going into 2023. So let's get rolling. As you know, big fans of Edwards Deming. Of course, he was the father of the quality movement back in the 70s. And his line is, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. And of course, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but we also think having data to support your opinion is super important. And that's what I'm wanting to do today. And everybody seems to have an opinion about this. Are we or are we not going into recession? And some people are saying, with uncertain economic conditions, inflation at a 40-year high, a lot of economic uncertainty, whether we're going to have a soft landing or a hard landing, whether we're in a recession already or not. I don't know, and we're not predicting, but what we can do is look at what we've learned from past events. And so let me start with two data points from the 2022 SPS, the Sales Performance Scorecard. The first is the percentage of sellers or sales reps meeting or beating their quota for 2021 was 61%. And the percentage sales revenue attainment was 91%. So those are pretty good numbers. In fact, 61% is second highest we've ever seen for sales reps meeting or beating their quota, 91% on average. Now, this is average, which means, obviously some companies did much better than that. There are others that did worse, pulling the average down, but 91% is not bad. And we thought, well, is there something to learn here? Have we seen this before? And the answer is yes. The last black swan event, and I'll just describe black swan events being any big deal adverse markets. So the recession of 92, 93, the tech bubble implosion of 2002, 2003. The last big one, of course, was the Great Recession, 2008, 2009. Here are the numbers we saw then, and they're going to look similar. The percentage of reps in 2008 that met or beat their quota, 61.2%. Revenue plan attainment on average across the boards, 89.4%. That was 2008, and we're saying 2021, there was a lot of pent-up demand after the pandemic, once we had vaccines and things started opening up again. A lot of stimulus money out there in the economy, and so good numbers for 2021, good numbers in 2008. In 2009, 61% of reps dropped down to just below 52% of reps, 51.8, and revenue plan attainment dropped down to 77.5%. So on average, a 12% decline, and what we saw was it took 2 years for companies to recover from this and get back to where they were before the recession. So I have a couple of other data points I want to share in terms of a wake-up call for sales. This is from our 2021 buyer study that we did in joint research effort with Korn Ferry, where we interviewed 500 B2B buyers that had $10,000 and above signature authority, some obviously much higher than that. And the question we asked was, what's your preferred resource for solving business problems? And the number one was their own experience. If they had some experience of their own and or with a vendor that they'd used in the past or maybe are still using, that's where they turned first, followed by subject matter experts, SMEs, SMEs, whatever you want to call them. Then industry and professional online communities, industry events, trade shows, conferences, that's happening, starting to happen again. Dreamforce had 125,000 people in San Francisco the very end of September. So once again, people gathering there. Business or industry publications or media. And all the way down here in 7th place, vendor websites. We did this same study in 2018. 2018, vendor websites were 3rd on this list. In 2021, they were 7th on the list. And down here in 9th place, behind web searches, were vendor salespeople. Now, the question we're asking, number one, we want to point this out. And number two is, what would it take to raise vendors up in their stature, the perception of them? And of course, worth suggesting the place for them to start appearing is up here under subject matter experts, either bringing them in or becoming a subject matter expert themselves, okay? So eye-opening thing here, eye-opening stat that sellers, perceived as sellers, second to last place in terms of where people will turn. So this whole thing that we're saying is, folks, buyers just aren't that into you. The Sales Executive Council used to say, and the Challenger folks used to say that buyers were 2/3 of the way, 67% of the way through the buyer's journey before they ever spoke to a seller. Some people think that number is larger, some think it's smaller. Again, everybody has an opinion. So is that fact or myth? Again, everybody has an opinion, but do we have some data to support our opinion? This is another chart from our buyer survey last year when we asked, what's the preferred point of engagement to bring a salesperson in? 21%, about 1 in 5 said right at the beginning when we're trying to identify and clarify needs. Another 22% said identifying possible solutions. So we know we've got a need or a problem and we're starting to explore possible solutions. That's when we want to start talking to sellers. And then evaluating solutions. Once we've sort of narrowed down the space we want to look into, now we want to start talking to them. That was 20%. Then resolving outstanding questions or concerns, 17. When we're contracting exact terms and conditions, that's when we want to talk to a seller. And finally, when we're implementing the solution, you could hardly bring them in any later than that. So what does all of this mean? Well, you see this 43% over here that are saying they would like to do it early. Here's the wake-up call. In 2018, 56% of buyers said that they wanted to engage early in the buying process. That's now down to 43%. So there are fewer people that want to engage early in the buying process. But we asked in 2018 and we asked again in 2021, okay, for those of you who do not want to engage early, is there anything that would make you want to involve sellers earlier? In 2018, 9% of the folks said there's nothing you can do. Okay, the folks who didn't want to engage early, 9% of them said, we still don't want, there's nothing you can do that would make us want to engage you earlier. Okay, well, guess what? In 2021, that number increased to 25%. So in 2018, 91% said, yeah, there was something else, or there could be something else. In 2021, that percentage had dropped to just 75% said, well, yeah, there could be something else. In each case, here were the things that would help. If this is new to me. So what we saw in the prior bar chart was turning to my own experience or experience with a vendor. Well, if I don't have any experience and we're dealing with this problem or facing this need for the first time, it's new to me. I'm happy and certainly willing to talk to sellers earlier in the process. Number two is, if this is risky, and risk comes in two flavors here. If it's risky to me personally, as in a career-limiting decision, or to my organization, then yes, I'm interested in getting input earlier. And finally, if this is complex, okay, if there are a lot of moving parts here, I don't want all the parts of the automobile delivered to my driveway and I'll assemble them myself. No, if there are many moving parts, I want some help in how a solution can be framed up and put together to help me address the problem that I'm facing. So again, looking at the past downturn, where did people find success? By reassessing the buying process. A lot of change going on. Again, a lot of moving parts, a lot of economic uncertainty, what my partner Jim Dickey calls a fragile ecosystem. Okay, so buying is changing, so let's reassess what the buying process is and then optimize or align our sales process to that refined or reassessed buying process, and then enable the existing sales team. Here's what we learned from the last Black Swan event, again, the Great Recession, is firms that were down here at performance level 1, random process and lower levels of relationship, vendor or preferred supplier, these people, if they continued to do in 2008 and 2009 what they had done before, they got crushed. Okay? If they implemented higher levels of sales process and were able to elevate their level of relationship to more of a consultant. And by the way, these levels of relationship and process have been defined before when we introduced the SRP matrix way back in 2007. And in our report, we define these levels, at least in functional terms. What we found in 2008 is if these people did move up, then they basically held steady to their prior year's performance. So they weren't doing the same things. They were doing new things. I mean, they were working smarter, working faster, working harder, certainly working in a more process-oriented way and talking less about their products and services and more about the business, the customer's business, the customer's customer, and so on. If they were able to do that, then they basically held steady. You could say they were running in place, even if they were running differently or running harder, okay? If they didn't do that, they got crushed. Level 2 folks, people who are operating at this level, if they continued to do what they were doing before, they got crushed. But if they moved up to a more formal process and higher levels of relationship, again, they basically were running in place. They more or less held steady. So here's the so what in all of this. If we are in a recession, if we are going into a recession, this is a roadmap for at least holding your own if you start doing these things now. Okay? If we don't go into a recession, or if we have the soft landing that some folks are predicting, then this is a way for you to really capitalize and get ahead in tough time, but not extraordinarily tough times. Okay, one of the ways is coaching. What we asked in the SPS is, what is your company's approach to coaching? 36% said we leave it up to the managers. Another 32% said informal guidance, not really rigorous or monitored or reinforced. 12.5%, basically 1 in 8 said we have a formal coaching process, and another 20%, 1 in 5 said we have a formal coaching process supported by technology, principally CRM and analytics. This, in my opinion, is the money slide for this whole presentation. For these first two, the coaching left up to managers and informal, when we looked at their performance of forecast deals, their win rate was 47%, competitive losses were 25%, and no decisions, 28%. So almost 1 in 3, better than 1 in 4 opportunities that were forecast, not pipeline, forecast opportunities that went nowhere, okay? These deals didn't really amount to anything for anyone. Okay, that is an enormous time sink and resource suck. Those that operated in a formal way, their win rate was 53%. Competitive losses, not much better, 24%, but look at this, no decisions, 23%. And those with formal coaching assisted with technology or supported by technology, their win rate went all the way up to 60%, and the remaining 40 divided evenly between losses and no decisions. Now, this difference between 28% and 20% no decisions, this frees up an enormous amount of calories, sales cycles, bandwidth. And The reason that's important is not just the increased win rate, but you can get better opportunities into your pipeline if it's not clogged up with all these non-events that are happening up here. So we talk about that in a couple of places on our website. We have a video called Examine Your Sales Funnel, talk about this problem of things being plugged up. And we also have some things on sales process and what to measure that you might want to take a look at. How do you enable the sales team, particularly existing folks? By the way, we looked at ramp-up time for new reps in our survey. Again, July, August of 2022, the average ramp time was 8 months. So if you're looking for reps to improve your Q4 performance, and especially getting a running start on 2023, well, good luck. I hope you hired them the end of January, because that's how long it's going to take them to get fully productive. But what about the existing folks? We wanted to assess the sales training that people are currently getting. That's in terms of product training, sales methodology and process, competitive differentiation. A lot of folks are interested in that. We talked about customers' buy cycle, return on investment, purchase justification, and sales technology usage. The black bars are unacceptable. The dark gray needs improvement. The medium gray says our training is adequate. And then we combined above average and excellent, or exceeds expectations and excellent, into the light gray bars here. And what we see is the two lowest are sales methodology and process training and sales technology usage training are the two that score lowest in great training, okay? And here's why that's important. Again, going back, you saw these data points earlier. The sellers beating quota, 61% of reps did so, and the overall revenue attainment was 91%. But the winning combination got much better results. 73% of their reps were meeting or beating quota, and the overall revenue attainment was 100%. And here's what that combination is, and here's what we're recommending. So number one, they were rigorous on process. Again, these are all defined in the report, and you're welcome to get a copy of that. Just visit us on our website. They were operating at sales process level 3 or above. They were consistent and ongoing in their coaching. They didn't leave it up to individual managers. They didn't leave it up to their own devices. They did sales methodology and process training, and they did sales technology and usage training. These two groups that were the lowest in terms of exceeds expectations or excellent, these two, when we only filtered on those, got those high results, 73% of reps, 100% of revenue plan. And we looked at dozens of permutations where we stripped things out, we maxed things out, we juggled a lot of things to see what had the highest results. And this is what we came up with. And particularly when it comes to leveraging technology and training on the usage of technology, one of the questions we asked is your CRM system a system of engagement or a system of record? If it's a system of record where your people are basically, yeah, the data's accurate, I put a few notes in there, I keep it current, it's basically checking the boxes of have to, as opposed to a system of engagement where this is how I interact with my peers, with my colleagues, with my prospects, with my customers. I leverage our content management system and so on, conversation analysis, SPS and messaging beyond email and so on. All of those things are how I use the system. I'm really living in the system. And when your people are comfortable and competent and facile with the technology you have, I mean, what the heck? You bought it. Why not teach them how to use it? Okay. My final tip on this, and then we're done, is don't let your reps or managers do any reporting in Excel or PowerPoint. Make them give you the reports and give you their figures in the system of record, in the system of engagement. That way, they actually are using it and know how to use it, as opposed to dumping it into Excel or PowerPoint, making it look nice, and so they can speed through it. Forget about that. Let them speed through it in the system they're supposed to be using and that you've paid for. With all of that, I want to thank you for taking time today. Jim and my contact information is here. Always happy to hear from you. And if you'd like to download a copy of the report, either drop us an email or you can download it under the research section of our website, salesmastery.com. Be well, sell well. Thanks for watching.